Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. You're watching Raven Review. I'm your host, Raven. Today we're going to be talking about The Girl Who Takes an Eye for an Eye, spoiler edition. So this book is written by David Largenkratz. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. It is based off Stag Larsson's Millennial series. In my non-spoiler video for this book, I mentioned we didn't know the name of the book, but because I'm going through all the Millennial series again and re-uploading them, we do know the name of the third book, which is The Girl Who Lives Twice. So I am definitely looking forward to that book, and I will post that spoiler, non-spoiler video as soon as I get the opportunity of getting through the book. So hopefully soon. I know it's sometime in late August, maybe early September is when it's supposed to come out. So with that said, I'm going to roll the spoiler clip just to let you guys know that, you're fairly warned that there are spoilers in this video. And then I'm going to have Miko go over the plot of the film, and then I will get into a little bit more spoiler talk of what I think of the actual book. So I'm not going to have a rating in this. If you want the rating of what I think of the book, go to my non-spoiler video for that. So with all that checked off my list, let's get into the plot and the actual review.
Hello YouTubers, I hope you all are having a beautiful day. Before I get into the plot of the book, I'm going to share with you the Swedish title. In Sweden they call this book Mannen som sökte sin skugga, which translates into The Man Who Chased His Shadow. Just a quick fun fact about this great book series. Speaking of which, let's get into the plot of this book. Lisbeth Salander is serving a 2-month jail sentence for the crimes she committed while protecting August Balder. After threats arise against her, she is transferred to maximum security Flodberga prison, which she finds rife with corruption. She also discovers that Bangladeshi prisoner Faria Kasi is tormented nightly by ruthless prisoner Beatrice Benito Anderson. One day, Salander is visited by former guardian Holger Palmgren. During their conversation, Palmgren tells her about a visit he received from a former secretary from St. Stephan's, where she was committed as a child, who gave him Salander's medical files, which has led him to believe she was involved in something called the registry. Suspicious, Salander forces the warden to let her use his computer, where she learns the registry is a secret project that places exceptional children in specific environments to test the effects on their growth. Unable to do anything from prison, Salander asks journalist Michael Blomkvist to investigate in her stead, pointing him to wealthy businessman Leo Mannheimer, whose name was in the registry file she found. During his investigation, Blomkvist learns that Mannheimer had been acting strangely lately and comes to suspect that not only does he have a twin, Dan Brody, but Brody has been going around pretending to be Mannheimer. Meanwhile, Palmgren, while going through Salander's file, recognizes the name Martin Steinberg and calls him. Steinberg panics and contacts his associate Rachel Grietz, who, despite dying from stomach cancer, enters Palmgren's house pretending to be a nurse, poisons him and takes the file. Blomkvist arrives too late to save him, but Palmgren tells him to find Hilda von Kanterborg, a former registry agent whose initials were in the file, before he dies. Blomkvist tracks Hilda down and, though she doesn't believe Dan stole Leo's identity, she confirms that they are twins. She also tells him that Grietz tried to take Salander away from her family as a child as part of the experiment, only for her to react violently and escape. What they don't know is she then hid in a church and saw a statue of a dragon being slain, which inspired her to fight against the unjust and later don her dragon tattoo. Blomkvist then confronts Mannheimer who, after saving him from Griet's henchman Benjamin, reveals that he is Dan. Having grown up on a farm with an abusive adopted father, Dan found a passion for music and eventually fled to America, where he lived as a jazz musician. After being mistaken for Leo by a coworker, he saw that they looked alike and came to Sweden to find him. After spending time together, they angrily confronted Grietz together for answers. Unfortunately, she and Benjamin caught them off guard and poisoned Leo, blackmailing Dan into burying him and taking his identity. However, Dan secretly managed to save his brother's life and help him escape. They ended taking each other's identity, with Leo living in America, while plotting revenge. While this is happening, the warden of Flodberga makes plans to transfer Benito to another prison. Upon learning this, Benito prepares to kill Faria, which she reveals she was hired to do by Faria's brothers. However, Salander stops and severely injures her, sending her to the hospital. After she is released, Salander, with the help of Blomkvist's sister Annika, looks into Faria's history. She had been treated as a slave and object by her highly religious older brothers Bashir and Ahmed, who planned on selling her into marriage with a rich man. That fell apart when she fell in love with Jamal Chowdhury, a Bangladeshi national who was branded a heretic by Islamist extremists. Salander soon discovers that, on the two older brothers' orders, younger brother Khalil murdered Jamal, leading to Faria pushing Ahmed to his death in anger, resulting in her arrest and Bashir hiring Benito. Salander tricks Bashir into confessing on video, and convinces Khalil to do the same to the police after Bashir flees. She then plans to go after Grietz when Blomkvist tells her what he's found, only to be kidnapped by Bashir and an escaped Benito. She gets an alert out to her hacker allies, who manage to track the truck they're in and alert the police. With Faria's help, the police find them just as Salander escapes and arrest Benito, Bashir, and their colleagues. After recovering from a wound sustained in her escape, Salander confronts and subdues Grietz and Benjamin, deciding to spare the former so she can suffer the shame of her reputation being ruined as she's arrested. Faria's charges are lowered and she's presumably released. The people, Steinberg included, involved are sent to prison and, though preempted by a stock market crash, Millennium publishes Leo and Dan's story. Everyone who knew Palmgren gather for his funeral, where Salander makes a passionate, if backhanded, speech about her guardian.
Okay, now that the plot is over, so, yeah. Thank you, Miko. So let me get into my thoughts of the actual plot itself. We've got a bunch of various different stories, and I'll get into them over what I think. So we have Salander's story, Elizabeth Salander's story on her prison and meeting Benito and Faria, and her handing over that file to find out about this secret experiment going on with Greats and all that experiments that were going on with Carmela and her. That whole plot right there with the secret experiments and stuff like that and Greats, I absolutely like that story. That part of the book is really good. Greats is a great villain. I love her. But you know right off the bat that she's the villain of the book, or the main villain, especially with the birthmark of the flames on her neck. I thought it was just a little too obvious that she was the villain. Palmgren dying, though, that was a complete shocker to me. Was not expecting that in any way whatsoever. Totally threw me off for a loop. Was not expecting that. But it's what happens in the book. As far as Balloonfest doing the investigation of this secret thing that happened, I think it's called Organization 8 or something like that. I liked what he did in the book. It's very well done. I think he took the majority of the book, though. I think the book is maybe 60% about Mikhail Balloonfest. So, which I prefer the book to be more 50-50, and eventually the two of them getting together in some way or form and working together to defeat the villain of the story. That kind of did happen, but it kind of didn't happen. The story with Feria, the Middle Eastern girl, and how she was enslaved and stuff like that, I get why she's there with Benito, and why Lisbon had to have some kind of villain or something like that in the prison, and her, stepping up to help this girl and stuff like that. And Angeline, I think is her name, Mikhail's sister. That I just, that part of the book, it isn't really needed. They could have done the whole thing with her in the prison and stuff like that, and then the character kind of like faded off, but David ran with that story, and it wasn't really necessary. I didn't see the need in that part of the story. As far as Leo and David, I get why they're part of the story, and Mikhail finding them and the twins and stuff like that, because the experiment had to do with twins and stuff like that. I get that, and I didn't mind that half of the story, really. It was okay. Like I said, I really didn't mind it. It added elements to the actual story itself. So and then we have the flashback with Lisbon and finding out about her tattoo and stuff like that. And that was a neat little fact, but there's a ton of flashbacks in this book, and in order to let the story go. And it's just kind of chaotic because the way that the book is written, the way that David wrote the book is like the flashbacks aren't defined. You don't really realize that you're listening to a flashback or knowing about a flashback until like midway through the flashback. And that just kind of, I think that can be confusing to the writer or to the reader and stuff like that. David is a good writer, and I'm not trying to put him down or anything like that, but I don't think he's like emotionally invested into our two main characters, just because Larson was they're his characters, and he had the emotional attachment to them and stuff like that because he created them. And David didn't create these characters; he's just continuing the story. So I think that's the reason why he doesn't have this emotional attachment to the characters, and why the stories for Millennial aren't as compelling and gripping as the previous three first stories. So those are just my thoughts on it. And you can agree or disagree. Feel free to write in the comments of what you think and what your thoughts are. I'm open to all of them. Or if you'd like to go to my Facebook and have a conversation with me there about it, feel free to do that. Give me an ad over there on Facebook. Speaking of which, I'm at 50 subscribers, around 50 subscribers. And if I get to 100 subscribers on my YouTube channel, I will reveal my face on Facebook. And then if we get up to 500, I'll do a little bit more. I'll do more and stuff like that. So yeah, help me get to 100. I would really, really appreciate if you guys could help me get to 100 subscribers. That would be absolutely awesome if you guys could do that. So with all that said, I'm Raven. You're listening to Raven Review. And like always, don't forget to give someone a hug. It may change their day, it may change their life. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Oh, hello everyone. You all have reached the end of this Raven review. Just some quick reminders, please don't forget to give a like on this video. Don't forget to subscribe and press that notification bell, it would be greatly appreciated. Also please don't forget to leave a comment down below. And last of all, please check out Raven Reviews Facebook, there is a link down below, give us a friend request. Thank you for watching Raven Review, I'm Miko, I hope you have an awesome day.